Welcome inside Sports Den for episode 2 of season 20. I'm Bill Hupp, she's Mary Rominger, and Mary, high school, college, NFL, this weekend was truly a feast of football. How did you enjoy it?
Football everywhere. My alma mater, Iowa State, was able to pick up a huge win. Hasn't happened in 6 years over our rival Iowa, so that was how I spent it. Yeah, how about you?
Not the prettiest game, but
No.
hey, a win's a win, right?
A win's a win. That was far from pretty
Yes.
for football.
I had a great weekend, played golf,
nice.
watched football, the whole 9 yards, and actually the football kicked off not on Friday night, but on Thursday night here on North Metro TV as Spring Lake Park played host to the Benilde St. Margaret's Red Knights. They beat them 47-7 last season. They're trying to move to 2-0 with 2 straight Thursday night games against private school powerhouses. First drive of the game, Braden Talso does it himself, the quarterback. First of his 3 touchdowns on the night. Then it's Kayshawn Green, rumbling, stumbling, reaching for the goal line for 6. Spring Lake Park would score 2 in the first quarter. Then Braden Talso in the second quarter gets it in for the 3rd rushing touchdown of the game. Then Jackson Smith, the co-captain for the Panthers, gets involved. They'd score 2 touchdowns in the first quarter, 2 in the second quarter, and 3 in the third quarter. Freddie Anthony getting in on the act with a touchdown to go along with an interception on the game. Speaking of interceptions, what a pick here by Kyrie Shaw, leaping and catching it, tackled inside the 10. One play later, the Panthers would make them pay with Braden Talso splitting defenders and stretching it across the pylon for 6. Spring Lake Park doing it all, keeping it on the ground, this time with the pitch for Kayshawn Green to get his 2nd rushing score of the night. Benilde St. Margaret's would get a touchdown late, a consolation score, but it would not be nearly enough. Even the backups getting involved with a 75-yard plus touchdown run. It was all Panthers on this night. A beautiful night for football as Spring Lake Park improved to 2-0 on the season with a 56-14 rout of Benilde St. Margaret's. John Stewart's program rolling along as you see Talso with 3 rushing touchdowns. Shaw and Anthony had interceptions, 2 of the 3 picks the Panthers defense had on the night. A couple good numbers for Benilde, but it would not be nearly enough as Spring Lake Park was dominant, as they always are, defensively and on the ground, and that formula has racked up many wins for the Panthers over the years.
Well, not as high-scoring of a matchup in this next one, but we transition to the action under the Friday night lights. St. Michael Albertville is on the road for a matchup against Centennial. Both programs suffered Week 1 losses. First win of the season is on the line in this one. The Knights hot off the opening drive. It's Colton Demarius and the Alex Watkowitz connection, the senior falling into the end zone. STMA up 6-0 early. Next possession, Cougars trying to find the answer. It's senior tight end Reese Littlefield blows the top off the defense, making it all the way to the Knights' 30-yard line. But STMA comes up with the stops to hold the Cougars to a field goal, 6-3 now. Defenses stealing the show in this big-time rivalry matchup. Knights' Ashton Groves' punt is blocked. Centennial all over it, tackling him at the 1-yard line. Just under 6 minutes remaining in the half. Cougars punch in the go-ahead touchdown. QB Henry Perner forces through, doing just enough to get the rock across the goal line for the touchdown. Cougars with the 10-6 lead in front of their home crowd. Later, it's Perner again. He picks up major yardage to bring Centennial inside the red zone. Results in another touchdown to extend the lead. What a ball game. Centennial wins 17-6. Lots of exciting action there, Bill.
Yeah, and a big win for Centennial. They really needed that one after suffering a heartbreaking loss to Stillwater, 29-28 on the opening night. But a great job defensively by the Cougars. Their rival, the Blaine Bengals, put their 1-0 record. And we'll first take a look at the game summary. Of course, good numbers for Centennial.
Yeah, Perner with 1 touchdown, Harper another touchdown. Cummings was injured in the second quarter, to note, for Centennial, but Either way, a tight matchup. It could have gone either way, it felt like at certain points, but Centennial comes away with it.
Now it's the Blaine Bengals' time to put its 1-0 record on the line as they played host to number 5 Minnetonka on Friday night at the beautiful Blaine Stadium. First quarter action, Skippers QB Milos Spasojevic to Joran Thompson over the middle, and he'd do the rest from 23 yards out. Skippers take a 7-0 lead. Bengals would tie it up in the second. Michael Douglas takes the Frank Daniels pitch and uses the burst to get 6. Late first half, it's another point for Milos as he finds Thompson again, who gets through the wash to give Minnetonka the lead just before the break. Third quarter now, Jacob McCullough adds to the Skippers' lead up the gut with one of his 127 yards on the night. Less than a minute to go. The quarterback, Frank Daniels, scrambling. He's got Tyrell Terry deep. He gets behind the Skippers' defense as the Bengals get one back on this 73-yard TD bomb. Daniels showing off his arm strength. And then the onside kick effort with the Bengals trailing by 7, bounding, and ultimately it would be recovered. It would go out of bounds, and it would be Skippers. No, it would be the Bengals football. Daniels back to pass. They recover it. They march down the field. 21-14 the score. They get in line with 10 seconds left, but ultimately it would not be enough. Blaine battles, but bows out by a touchdown. As you see the numbers for Daniels, 139 passing yards, a touchdown, 2 picks. Tyrell Terry with a huge game, but Spasojevic, 194 yards and a couple touchdowns for the Skippers. So Minnetonka living up to that 5th-ranked billing with a good defensive effort to keep Blaine in check. And as we see the standings now in the Metro North, Blaine and Centennial near the top, 1-1 records, trailing Maple Grove and Minnetonka, 2 of the top 5 teams in the state.
This next week of action is going to be crucial to see how things continue to improve for all of the area's teams. And you have Blaine with a matchup against Champlain Park coming up, a 7 p.m. primetime matchup. Centennial will next hit the road for a meeting with Totino Grace. And as for Spring Lake Park, it's a matchup at Chanhassen. And going back to that Centennial matchup, Totino Grace is coming off of a loss to Maple Grove, and opportunity there to, I guess, take advantage.
Yeah, and they got a huge games in their schedule coming up at Maple Grove after that, and then Wayzata. And that Chanhassen game for Spring Lake Park will be one of the biggest games of the season for the Panthers. The 8th-ranked Panthers have started off the season 2-0. But they've got a brutal stretch coming up at Chanhassen and then Matamidi in a couple weeks. And those are the games that will really define the season for the Panthers.
Things really heating up. Well, are you ready to switch over to the pitch now?
Yes, yes. Same fields, different sport as soccer.
Exactly.
Soccer also playing its games in the fall, and we had a couple good games this week. Absolutely.
It's Blaine and Andover, girls and boys matchup, but we'll start with the girls. Blaine and Andover. Andover enters the game 3-1 on the season, most recently defeating Coon Rapids in a monstrous 13-0 victory. Blaine, on the other hand, is 3-0, clean sheets in all 3 over Mounds View, East Ridge, and Centennial. Andover strikes first in the opening half. You know it's going to be a close game with these two, and it's Andover striking again. The initial save rolls away, and it's a 2-0 advantage for the Huskies just like that. Here's a penalty kick for Blaine, and they're able to cut the deficit in half, and then another would come off of the corner kick. This one ends in a 2-2 draw, an electric game, lots of hearts on the line, but nonetheless, it's a tie for both teams.
Another 2 goals for Kendall Stadden as she continues to lead this Blaine Bengals team, and that's a good result on the road.
Now for the boys. Primetime matchup in the evening. It's 2 teams that are having a very successful season. Although Andover strikes first, Blaine will eventually fire back, but in the end, it's a matchup that ends in heartbreak. Andover wins in the final moments of this game. And I mean, Bill, two close games. You have a little bit more knowledge on the a little bit of the history with Blaine. What do you think about this one?
Well, what a spectacular effort here, as we see on the screen, to tie the game. But yeah, ultimately a penalty deciding things with 23 seconds left. So what a dramatic way for the Huskies to win. But yeah, both these teams met in the playoffs last year. They're very familiar with one another. Blaine was just coming off a 5-0 win over Centennial. So a tough one for the Bengals to go on the road and win. But in the girls matchup, a really terrific effort for them to come back 2 goals down to a team that had just finished second in sectionals last year. So for them to come from 2 goals down and get a late goal to tie from Kendall Stadden, who else, is a really good result for the Bengals as they're able to pick up a point on the road.
And there you see the stats from the boys soccer game for Blaine. It's Sherian with the goal, Dunnigan with 5 saves, and allowing 2 goals against, of course. And next up, they take on Maple Grove. Now for the girls. Stadden, as you mentioned, Bill, 2 goals. Way, who has, before this game, has yet to allow a goal. Of course, she gives up 2 in this one, but a resilient effort for Blaine. It's Maple Grove coming up next. They're coming off of a 2-1 victory. And you said it, I loved your conversation with Stadden last week, Bill. It was just all determination and excitement to finish off her career strong. And next up, we're so excited to see her with the Minnesota Gophers. Yeah, no, it'll be great, and a huge win, actually, as they defeated the Crimson last week 2-1. So that allows Blaine to get up. As you see the boys soccer standings, Spring Lake Park with an above 500 record, Blaine and Centennial right next to each other in the standings. Everyone chasing Andover and Armstrong as we take a look at the girls. Yep, it's Centennial at the top, 3-1-0, 4-1-0 overall with 9 points, and then Blaine 2 spots down, 2-0-1 now, 4-0-1 overall, 7 points, 2 points ahead of what is Spring Lake Park. We take a look at the boys' soccer schedules coming up and a couple home games for Centennial. Coming up next, Blaine with an interesting one at Totino Grace, who was winless on the season before they host Coon Rapids. And then Spring Lake Park travels to Maple Grove next, and that'll be a tough one. The Crimson, one of the top-ranked teams in the state, led by Chris Franz, the outstanding goal scorer. So Spring Lake Park certainly with a challenging one coming up. Lots of good stuff. And then for the girls' matchups coming up, Totino Grace for Blaine at 5 p.m. So Centennial will take on Elk River at 5 p.m. matchup. Maple Grove at 7 p.m., another road matchup. So lots of good stuff to start the season. Big matchup for Centennial as they host Stillwater, who they lost to in the state championship game last year as well. So that'll be a fun one too, as there's so many sports that go on in the fall. When you look at swimming and diving and tennis and soccer, we're covering but a slice of it here on Sports Den. And there's actually action. The good thing about it is that the gym doesn't get wasted because girls volleyball takes place in the fall, and that's been a fun sport to cover over the years. And Spring Lake Park hosting Elk River in a matchup. The Elks visiting the Panthers to take on the team led by Coach Joy Johnston. Talking in the pre-match huddle. First set, Elks with a narrow lead when Spring Lake Park hits it into the net. Good presence at the net for the Elks. 11-5 Elks later in the first. Tied at 24 late in the set. Tipped over skillfully here by Amelia Smith for the go-ahead point. Elks take the first set 26-24. Second set now, Elks serving. Dug out, but Jordan Longben uses her long reach to tip it over. One of her team-high 9 kills on the night. Panthers keeping it close, winning this hard-fought volley to make it 14-13 second set. And then blocked at the net again, tipped over. But Elk River and Longben and Ella Johnson would not be denied. They would win the second set 25-19. As you see them there. And then third set, Longben with the long shot, spiking SLP's hopes
for a comeback. Panthers draw within a point, but the SLP power spike as they tip it over there and enter a point to draw within 24-20 in the third set. Panthers draw within a point, but the SLP power shot goes long, and that's that. SLP swept at home by the Elks 3-0. They host the Knights of Irondale at home tonight, still looking for their first win of the season.
There you see Centennial 7-1 overall on the season.
Blaine, top of the conference in the Northwest Suburban Conference.
And Champlain Park, and then it's Elk River.
Volleyball schedule's upcoming. A couple home games, a 3-game home stretch for Blaine, 3-match home stretch as Centennial will host 3 matches at home as well this week. Spring Lake Park, as we said, playing the Knights of Irondale tonight. Then they'll go and play Osseo later. But a lot of conference action in the Northwest Suburban, and Blaine with a couple of 3-set victories, as you see there, trying to keep it up and stay atop the conference in volleyball this year. They're off to a terrific start as they prepare for section play.
And quick note, I mean, Spring Lake Park, despite being swept, it was a close matchup and very high intensity. Always love when, although it does not end in your favor, it's some good quality competition.
Yeah, no question about it. They're 0-4 on the season, having just lost to Buffalo, but they're battling, they're forcing games to go the distance, like that 26-24 first set. So certainly Joy Johnston has to be pleased with how our team is playing, even if it's not resulting in wins.
And in a positive note, this is the stretch of the season where teams are really able to, they've had the first couple to get their groove on and, hopefully turn things around if things didn't get off to the start they were hoping for.
Yeah, still plenty of time, although we're already in mid-September, and it certainly feels like that.
It's flying by.
Outside, it really is. Just like episode 2 flew by.
Yep, it did. Lots of good action, though. I loved it. But I heard you say the weather, you can feel it getting a little bit more crisp. So mentally preparing for that one.
Yes.
All the football outside with the snow. Football and snow is awesome, though.
Yes. Well, we won't mention the S word unless it's Sports Den. That's a good S word.
Yes.
For Mary Rominger, I'm Bill Hupp. We'll see you next time inside Sports Den.